the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vine, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark. Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark. Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark. Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark. Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark.
Hey, good morning. How are you here on this Tuesday? We are very glad to have you with us, wherever you might be. BDST from our Family Fencing Studios here in Reiner. Call today to get a free quote. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room as well. We would love it. Good morning, Stephen. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hit us up. Professional Door Incorporated text line 3910788. Subscribe if you haven't already. like, and share. What's up, Harini? Hope you're well. Oh, you're a bot. That's great. Don't forget Professional Door Incorporated for your preventative maintenance. $40 this month only to celebrate 40 years in business. So be sure to call them this month to set up your appointment. Tell them you heard us talking about on the show. Call Travis, 674-0008. What's up, Geese? Good to have you back, man. 674-0008. Tell them you heard us talking about it on the show, and we will act accordingly. And, of course, as soon as I start, Creed mistimes his wanting back in. Let me grab him. All right, now we're good. Good to have you. Good to have you. Reach out to Travis. Thanks to all of our great sponsors, McCall and Chiropractic. I'm going to go over and see Mark tomorrow. 155 Walters Drive, sponsor of our chat room. Mention Family Fencing, 540-200-8294. That's how you can make sure that you get your quote. Pulaski County Sports Entertainment, congratulations on their award. On the jet skiing coming up in about a month. On what's going on at Calfee. Racetrack. Sportsplex. Never stop. Our presenting sponsor here of the program. Little River Heating and Air. 1095 Radford Street. 540-533-2971. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. Give James a call. 540-381-8011. Our BDST fan question of the week brought to you by the attorney Ryan Pry. What do you want to talk about this week? 701 West Main Street in Radford, trusts and estate planning. National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of me and this program. Thanks to Larry Ramsey for making my refinancing as easy as it was. Mention Professional Door. Reach out to them. I need to change that from 38 to 40, though. Now, let me do that. See, look, I'm going to update this on the fly. This is how cool I am. Look at that. Now, look. Look, 40 years in business. ReadySetFund.com. That is Bob Chris, BOBCRST11 at Gmail. See how a series of text messages can help your group or organization raise money quickly. Just go talk to the Floyd County softball team. Sundown Electric, a wonderful reputation, 5-star reviews, craftsmanship, clear communication, honest, and integrity. Jeff Smith, all about the community, and we appreciate his support. Go support them. And speaking of community, July 18th is our bash for the NRV Super Bowl, 382-5525. Reach out to Terry and Amanda. Enjoy what they do on the weekends. They got a lot of great stuff going on. So go hang out with them. So today we are going to have Brian Siegler from Boundary Corner and Mike Burnham. Yep, they had a good run. U.S. We'll talk about that a little bit. I didn't watch any of it, but I got up to see that they were beaten pretty handedly by Belgium, 4-1. So there you go. It is what it is. Sweet 16. The U.S. probably, I don't know if you want to say exceeded expectations, did okay, right? I mean, it is what it is. It's not like all of a sudden the United States, just because it was being hosted here, all of a sudden was the favorite, anything of that nature. Didn't look like, just looking at some of the highlights that I watched this morning. Of course, I've seen the horrible play by the goalie, which is very strange. But just looked like Belgium was a lot better. I mean, U.S. fell behind early. They tied it, and then they immediately gave up the next goal, and then it was basically they couldn't do anything offensively. And sometimes you just have to tip your hat to the other team, and I think that's the case here. Now it'll be interesting to see what kind of interest America pays to this event, even though it's being hosted here, with Team USA being eliminated. But it's over. It's over. So much controversy around the suspension being overturned, then it turns into this big political debate, which of course it does. And it should go back to, if it had been ruled correctly to begin with, none of this ever would have become an issue. And I see people saying they're pulling against the U.S. from this country just because it was Trump who did it. I mean, this is what we talk about as being completely divided. You can't even pull for your own country in a World Cup that it's hosting because of politics. These people are so lost on, but it's just, it's insane. I don't understand. But any event, U.S. gave it a good run, as Geese said, and it's over. I don't think the U.S. Hey, Jimmy, you might be right about that, Jimmy. How much were they? Were they feeling like they were forced to? You know, I don't think the U.S. was paying attention to begin with. Maybe so. Welcome, Jimmy. If you haven't seen Young Washington, it's definitely worth the watch. Yeah, I need to check that out. Are you kidding me, Geese? Well, I know you're not. I completely, I can see that. I can see that. Muy bien. Geese. That's funny. Yeah. Young Washington did pretty well, didn't it? It got more of its opening weekend than Supergirl this past weekend. And I think, Tebow, they're going to make 3 of those movies, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's going to be a trilogy following Washington to all the way through his presidency. So, what's up, the Rev? Welcome. Subscribe. Guy says, my grandparents came here from Mexico and love this country and what it has provided for my family. Absolutely. 100%. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, Dancing Lobster. What is it? I haven't heard about anyone named Jason Watson. No relation, by the way. Thank you, Rev. Appreciate that. Hopefully you stay subscribed. Stop by anytime. Well, it's because she's insane, Tebow. That whole set is insane. Oh, he's a major. What's he protesting? Lobster. That's a great name, by the way, Dancing Lobster. Kind of reminds me of the B-52s, Rock Lobster. Then they did a parody of it on the Family Guy. What's up, Noah? Welcome. Please subscribe. Yeah, that whole show is nothing but insanity. Tebow. Let's just say the most idiotic things we can, but it's okay because it vibes with the ownership. Thank you, Rev. Appreciate your help. Yeah, I think what I get tired of is meeting, Geese and Tebow. Don't you get tired of, we're proud. We just celebrated 250 years of this country, and it feels like we're always expected to apologize for the American culture. No other country's ever put on that kind of watch, if you will, it gets pretty old. And I don't know exactly what it is about it, but trying to apologize for what we are in America. Now, I don't like the way things are in America. I don't like us being so divided. That's my biggest issue with everything. I can't stand it. I mean, we're not going to have fair elections. I'm afraid we're done with fair elections one way or the other going forward. I don't think anybody can trust anybody anymore in terms of the fight for power. It's just gross. But everything anybody else does is okay. Anything America does is wrong. That's what it seems like. It gets just a tad tiresome, I guess is the best way to put it. But in any event, we are Hilary. We're from southeastern United States here. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. We certainly are. Sorry, we're getting a lot of text messages coming through on our professional door text line. It's good to see. Good to see. Lots of lawsuits, by the way, that aren't being reported a lot. Well, hey, hello to everybody in Estonia. Tell them we said hey. Hey, we don't have a subscriber yet from Estonia. We do have 15 countries. If you want to be the first, Hilary, it'd be great. People let politicians and the media divide people. Yep. Correct. The media loves to just dive headfirst into these agendas. That's exactly where we are. With Geese, we're going to talk some college football coming up with Brian Siegel. We'll talk about Mike Burnham's down in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, there's already been 2 cases filed against the new NCAA age-based policy. The latest by by Vanderbilt basketball player Jalen Washington. So there's going to be more and more of this. And this is what's going to be interesting to watch. Will even something that makes as much sense as the 5 years to play, will it eventually get defeated in the NCAA? If this is going to be interesting for me to watch. I thought this was going to be something that was going to just follow through. And just be, okay, well, if there's going to be something that's going to be passed, saying that 5 years is all you get makes a lot of sense. But now, Ross Dellinger, who does a really good job, he writes for Yahoo. He's one of the few guys who actually are writing about college sports for the issues instead of all these things. Absolutely, Geese. Michael Vick, one of one. So now, I don't know. If this ends up getting shot down at some point by some judge, and if folks are starting to sue about the age-based policy, I don't know if it's 5 years, but athletes are falling into this age range that they gave, and then it ends up not working, then I don't know what the NCAA can ever do again. It's crazy. So I don't know. We shall see. We shall see what happens there. I'm just trying to read updates on this to see if there's anything that's, No, I mean, nothing yet. But the latest lawsuit has been made by this young man. So we'll see. It's concerning. And it goes back to, it's almost as if everyone outside of the people who are running the NCAA. I know it's made up of all the schools, but there are a handful of people making the decisions to represent all the schools. It's almost as if everybody on the outside looking in understands how horribly things have been handled over the many decades and the monopoly that they had over athletes. And it's almost as if every opportunity now is just to reinforce how wrong it was for so many decades. Matthew says, I should have used a redshirt year in high school. So now, oh, thank you, Larry. That's great. We love Estonia. You're now the 16th nation that is represented in our subscriptions. I'll check it later to make sure that's accurate, but I believe that is accurate. And I hope you stay subscribed. So we'll see. We will see where all this goes. My guess is that this 5 and 5 years not going to happen cleanly anytime soon. So then it comes down to what's going to happen eventually with the unsustainable model of what players are making. I don't know. I still believe, and I'm going to stand by it, I believe that any change is going to be instituted by the two power brokers of the league, which is Big Ten and the SEC. I've been led to believe in recent days that their alliance isn't as strong as people think. The SEC is secretly kind of scrambling a little bit because they know now that technically they are number 2 behind the Big Ten, despite the posturing of ESPN and so forth. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think unless they decide to say, hey, we're going to do this from a conference level, and then all the members are on board, then maybe something happens there. I don't know. Yeah, T-Boat's getting here. Football. I'm trying to get excited. I think what helps is once you actually see games, and for at least those 3 hours or so, you can put aside all the issues that are going on. So I'm hoping that happens again. I'm hoping that we have, at least in terms of college football, I hope that the quality stays as strong as it. I thought the on-field product was really good last year. I mean, other than, Iowa Tech was 3-9, and we don't look at it that way. But for me, I don't. What's up, Pratyasha? From BDST Online, listening to the Ming Dog. Is there any better place to be? From sea to shining sea. Let freedom ring. Loyal listeners, let them ring. What's up, Muna Kag? Please, everyone, subscribe, and hopefully you hang on. Can you ever see the SEC and the Big Ten come together, make a super league, and kick the NCAA out? Yeah, I believe that's going to happen. I don't think they'll necessarily be together on that, but I think a super league is definitely going to happen, yeah. Now, Coach Elmo said yesterday he believes that we're going to have an expansion of the conferences as we know them first. Thank you, Prajasha. I know I'm saying that wrong. I'm not bald. I just keep it tight. The light makes it look bald. It's fine. So I'm trying to get excited. I think I'll get more excited, Tebow, once we get into games, then that will help. Wayne says, I think Belgium just scored again. So 4-1 in soccer is what? Kind of like 35-7 in a football game. So in other words, you got to be pretty good. No, I did not. People asking me, James and Tommy, I did not stay up and watch it. I did not. I mean, I was pulling for them, but it was already 8-something. It didn't start till after 8. I was pretty tired, had a lot going on. I did watch some of the highlights this morning, and then when I saw what our goalie did, click. Done. I'm done. But the field looks great. Love that grass. Imagine that. Imagine putting your best athletes on grass. Huh. What a concept, NFL. What a concept, college football. Yeah, 35-7. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty convincing butt kicking. Belgium laid on the U.S. And now, like I said, I'm curious to see what kind of coverage it'll get going forward now that the U.S. is eliminated. And how the attendance looks going forward. But like I said, I mean, Sweet 16, that seems like progress. I mean, haven't there been World Cups recently where the U.S. got eliminated right off the bat? So it is what it is. But it's like Tebow said, we're concerned here in this country about American football at all levels, high school, college, pro. It is water, Rev. It's not anything lacing it. Damn right, Tebow. So does the Broncos Stadium. Absolutely. Mile High. I still call it Mile High. I will always call it Mile High. Elmo for head of FIFA refs. There was more flip-flopping yesterday than flip-flops in one of Jimmy Buffett's margarita hotels. Yeah, and that's why it's just, you just kind of go, okay. Okay, and people want to validate that. It's gamesmanship. No, it's not. No, it's not. We are so far behind Europe still, Fun Rod. We don't qualify many times. And you know, that's the way it's always going to be. Thank you, Potato. Potato D Films. Appreciate that. Hopefully, folks who subscribe will stay subscribed. Yeah, I mean, that's where it is. That's where it is. You can argue that internationally right now, too, baseball may have fallen behind in certain countries, right? When we have, like, I don't know how many people pay attention to the World Baseball Tournament and so forth. You know, that's why, you know, hockey, the gold medal was so huge and how we felt. We've fallen behind for so many years, right? Since 1980, and then they won it, and it was really great. It's just the way it is. It's just – but, again, people aren't going to be too concerned about this overall. You know, I've thought about that too, Wayne. I wrote about this a couple of weeks ago. So if you want to go back, and what Wayne's saying is people might look at what Wayne just wrote in chat and go, you're crazy. No, he's on to something. Basketball is about to be overtaken too. And you know what the reason why is? Because they implemented everything all the best parts of American basketball culture when the Dream Team showed up in 1992. And it was all about Michael Jordan. And, you know, the IOC finally relaxed its rules. because the world kind of made them. Look, we're sending our pros, whatever country you're talking about. Why is the U.S. blah, blah, blah? So then the U.S. goes in, and, of course, that's the greatest team ever assembled, and they do what they do. And the world took notice. The world hired American coaches and instructors and started to incorporate American players into their league. And they just absolutely perfected it. And they still are using that model. And now they've built it up into multi-billion-dollar industries, corner to corner in the world. And they continue to strive to get better and better. We have more of a European influence. I'm not even talking about the NBA level. The collegiate level, it's crazy. The top 5 players in the NBA now are all international players. The top 5, think about that statement. The top 5 players in the NBA are all international players. And you might say, who? Well, how about the current 2-time reigning MVP, SGA? He's from Canada. He was born in Toronto. Raised in Ontario, I believe. Of course, you have Wemby, who's French. You have Luka Doncic. You have Nikola Jokic. And you have Giannis, who just got traded. Think about that. That's your top 5 pretty much voted on players, and they're all international imports. Matter of fact, I don't even know who the first U.S. player would be that would show up there. Thanks, Rev. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for subscribing. Enjoy your game. You're welcome anytime. You found your old trombone, RH? That's cool. That's cool. No, I wouldn't say Barkley played better. Barkley was key. Remember, he got in trouble. He was an enforcer. But remember when Michael got mad at Tony Kukoc? He and Pippen got mad, and they shut him down after there were some things that were said by Jerry Reinsdorf at the time about Kukoc would finally come in and be the thing that the Bulls needed. And Jordan and Pippen got mad. It's really good in that documentary about the Dream Team. You can't have that same vibe that the Dream Team had in 92. Now, people can say, hey, talent-wise, the game has changed, and you can make the debate about can the current players, are they more talented than those guys? And I say no, because I think it's not just talent. I think it's the mindset and the competitive nature that has to be added into it a little bit. I mean, it's easy to say, well, the game's evolved to this, the game's evolved to that. Boy, that team in 92. No, JJ, but I'm a big fan. Have you? Matter of fact, this Capturing Bigfoot documentary, they say, is finally coming out in October. I don't think Prometheus is here today, but we're looking forward to that. Love the lore. So it's not just about physical talent. Like, yeah, JJ's not got me excited now. He's just brought up Bigfoot. Well, you say you'd love to meet him, and then I think about it. What if you were on an exploration? Now, Wayne and I one day are going to go on an exploration together. What's up, Jonelle? Everyone, please subscribe. Who's stopping by? We're a friendly place. And, like, if Wayne and I are out doing our thing in the woods and we're just kind of like camping out and all of a sudden it happens, I mean, I'm not exactly what we're going to be doing out there at that point. Running? Thanks, Jonelle. All right. There we go. He's gone. Thank you. Yes, it is sports talk and Bigfoot talk. But I'm not sure, if Wayne and I are out there and all of a sudden we see one, I'm not sure how we handle that. I mean, obviously you're going to want to get footage, but are you going to hang around? Not sure. I'm not sure. But I do love the lore. There's no question I do. So you can look at, let's look at those top 5 players. Let's do that right now. We got a little time here. Marva's still moving and she doesn't have any electricity or internet, so she can't be on today. Wayne says he's pushing me down and running. Well, and I can't say that I would hold that against you. I know, Tebow, that's become a popular theory. I don't think Bigfoot is of this planet, and the government may know it. T-Bird says, go on an expedition to Panera and explore the salads. That might be more scary. I think I'd rather be out in the woods looking for Bigfoot. All right, so you look at the dream team. Jordan, Stockton, Pippen, Karl Malone, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Patrick Ewing, Chris Mullin. I mean, I'm not going to name them all, but I'm just trying to go off the top of my head. David Robinson. Are any of the top 10 players in the NBA today better than any of those guys? Wemby is an unfinished product, right? Oh, very cool, Janelle. You're a military kid. I certainly don't think there are any guards that are any better. I don't think SGA is any better than any of those guards that were on that team. Nobody's better than Jordan. Bird had all sorts of back issues, but he still contributed a lot. I mean, are they better players? Or are they just more hyped in modern time? Yeah, Brian Jokic, yeah, that's probably the one guy, right? Of the top 5, Nikola Jokic, I think I would agree with that. Geese, yeah, you're right. Oh, that's cool. Tebow saw the Dream Team play in an exhibition in Charlotte. Evander Holyfield. Oh, yeah, man. Man, he was good. Evander was a good heavyweight. That's cool, Tebow. It's very cool. Yeah, I'll concur with you about Jokic. He might be the only one of the 5. I mean, Wemby's not there yet. He just showed it in the finals. He's not that guy. I think people get enamored by his length and his height. He blocks shots. Of course he does. He's 7'5". Is SGA ain't better than any of those guards? Yeah, absolutely. Larry Bird should be in everyone's top 5. He does get disrespected a whole lot, and I don't understand that. People just didn't watch him play. They didn't pay attention. I mean, Jokic, not Jokic, but Doncic is a good player. He's hurt a lot. He kind of hit or miss when he comes through in big games. Giannis just got traded. He's kind of, I don't want to say he's faded, I think he still averages a double-double, but he didn't take his game when they won the title and all that and the MVP thing. He didn't really take it to the next level. But I think what it is, just take away physical talent. Let's don't even put the debate there because people are always going to debate about it. Let's just talk about the will to win. The competitive nature of the game then as opposed to now. Cooper Flagg. Kind of seems like a little bit of a throwback guy, mindset-wise, seeing some interviews. But those guys losing to them, and at that time, they were rich, very, very rich beyond belief. They were making the top of their money. Later, Jonelle, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for subbing. Go take a nap. Jokic can't guard anyone. Well, he's not a great defender. But losing to those guys was the worst thing in the world. And I just don't believe that in this generation that it's the same vibe. Not when you're willing to take 17 games off to meet your minimum. Not when you share the same agent. And I know guys back then also shared the same agent, but it was a little different. And I think that's the difference in it, right? To me, anyway. I mean, those guys went over there, lots of egos that had to be checked, lots of statuses that had to be checked, and they wanted to kick the world's ass, and they did. They wanted to make a statement, and they did. %, they did. And they were angry about it. And they did not in any way, shape, or form want to be considered a failure for being the first team that got in to the tournament. I'm only on the LeBron bandwagon. They say Cleveland's pretty much a shoe-in. I don't think it matters at this point. He's not going to help them much. He won't play much. Remember UNC with Jordan? Yeah. Michael Jordan, James Worthy, Sam Perkins. All three of those guys on the same team. Yeah, the ACC then was a who's who, right? Tim Duncan. I mean, it was silly. Silly the kind of talent North Carolina had on that team. And that's why in the day and age of football, Carolina is still, they're a basketball school. And I think they just always will be a basketball school. And the reason they get talked about so much, and people, like I got a couple of texts yesterday, we touched on that with Coach Elmo about the expansion and so forth. What's up, Daniel? Happy Tuesday to you. Welcome. Welcome back. I think you've been here before. Hope you're subbed. Why North Carolina? Why North Carolina? Why does everybody talk about North Carolina? Michael Jordan. Jumpman. It's the brand. It's not the football program right now. It's the brand. And that's what you have to keep in mind with all of this. We know where they are football-wise, but it's the brand. Lenny Bias would have been – it's interesting to see what would have happened with his trajectory with Michael Jordan. I remember I was walking around Radford University as a freshman, and I think I was in having lunch in the in Moffitt, and on the TV they had – then because ESPN was actually reporting news, they had breaking news, and they reported that Lenny Bias was dead, that they suspected it was a drug overdose. I'll never forget that day. And you were just kind of like in shell shock. And there are a lot of people who speculate that if Lenny Bias would have had his NBA career, that we'd be talking about Lenny Bias and Michael Jordan. Geese says the brand matters. Look at the Cowboys. There you go. That's a great example, Geese. 100%. Haven't been to a conference championship game in 30 years, but are always the main topics. This is why you're the best audience on YouTube. And that is the way North Carolina's brand is kind of looked at when you're talking about expansion and why they're always in the top 4 of the ACC. And look, I know we can talk about football we want, but they're looking beyond that in terms of teams like Carolina and even Kentucky. But the Cowboys is a great example because they are the richest professional team in the world. And it's all because of what? That star on the helmet, the Dallas Cowboys, that brand. If Jerry Jones has done nothing else, he has absolutely and utterly brought the Cowboys into the evolution of marketing, even though they haven't won in that long, 32 years. Their brand is absolutely 100% the biggest NFL brand in the world because it's the biggest, most expensive team in the world. You can go anywhere in the world and mention Dallas Cowboys and people are going to know who you're talking about. They're going to know what they look like. How about that? You go to any corner of the world and say, hey, Dallas Cowboys, and they're going to see that star helmet in their head. There's not maybe a handful of teams in the NFL you can say that about. So it's the same thing with Carolina. It's the same thing with Carolina. Now I knew it. Chris goes, so what do you think? Who do you think's next in the NFL and branding? Thanks on the professional door text line. It was funny, Chris. I had a thought enter my head. Somebody's going to ask me about who I thought would be next. Whoo. We're talking worldwide brand in the NFL. Now, individual players, I don't know how big NFL stars transfer over. We've talked about this. Patrick Mahomes. They're done with the conferences. Excuse me, Prometheus, everybody. They are done with the conferences. Football leads the way. Football will base it, but they're not. Like, in other words, you're not negotiating with the Big Ten or the SEC or whatever. Strictly on football, they are conference. Like, for instance, the ACC's deal with ESPN, none of it is strictly football. We know that's why the dollars are so big. We're not silly. We know that. But, for instance, ESPN broadcast SEC basketball, Fox, Big Ten basketball. ACC basketball shows up on the ESPN-owned stations, right? That's the way it works. That's a good question. I can't come up with one. A second NFL team that would be immediately noticeable somewhere else. The Patriots, I don't think they were ever that, even under maybe when they were winning the Super Bowls, maybe now. Would you throw in somebody strange like the Packers just because of Lombardi? But they probably don't have a worldwide appeal, do they? That's a great question. And I knew I was going to get asked that question. Well, I don't know. I was thinking about the Chiefs and Mahomes. Maybe. Maybe. That deserves some extra thought. And then I'm running through the divisions. You know, one team that has an identity that is bigger than its success is your Oakland Raiders. I'm sorry, your Vegas Raiders, Prometheus. Your Vegas Raiders have a very strong brand that emanates with many, many international NFL fans when those teams show up, when those fans show up. I see a lot of Raiders gear for games that aren't even, I mean, they're playing in Germany or wherever they're playing, and it might be, you know, whomever it might be, the Bills against the Lions, and I see a lot of Raiders stuff. Because before Jerry Jones, Al Davis understood all that stuff. So the Raiders brand is very, very strong. Silver and black. What's up, Richard? How are you? Welcome. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Tebow says your constantly good NFL teams have owners that let the GM. Exactly. You stay out of the way, hire competent people, let them do their job. And if they don't do their job, then you have some conversations. And what does doing your job mean? Winning. And it's what David Smith, this is one of the many reasons he's the best analyst of the league out there. It's all about results. And that's why no matter what you say about the NFL, it's all about, do they win on the field? There's no questions about who qualifies, who doesn't. There's no rankings. Did you make the playoffs or didn't you? Prometheus says, being in Vegas now, they, the Raiders, get a bunch of eyes from other countries. Exactly. Their brand is extremely strong. They do, Tebow. They might be my biggest rival historically in the NFL as a Broncos fan, but the Raiders, and thank goodness Mark Davis, because you know Nike, who ruins all these uniforms, they've been trying to get the Raiders to wear all black. They have the most iconic uniform look. The Packers are iconic. The Cowboys. Those are your three most iconic uniforms in the NFL. Steelers, but the Steelers screwed up their numbers many years ago. They need to go back to the big block numbers. But Mark Davis has just kind of said, no, we're not wearing a black helmet. We're not wearing black pants. Why would you need to? That helmet is perfect. The logo, the patch, I mean, it's just, and that was all Al Davis. God rest his soul. That was all Al Davis. Even the Raiders' white uniform looks classic. And, you know, they used to have silver numbers. And I love those in the early 60s. Man, you see those early highlights. The Raiders used to be tan, kind of a yellow maize color and black when they first started. Their first 2 years, they didn't have silver and black. And then I think it was 62, 63, one of the two. Al Davis changed it, and now the rest is history. I think people thought the Patriots had it, but it was Brady's brand. 100% correct, yes. Because if the Patriots still had their brand, they'd have had that same feel to a team that just showed up in the Super Bowl, but it didn't in any way, shape, or form. It was Tom Brady's brand. That's 100% accurate. I agree with that totally. Tebow says the Eagles' Kelly Green is nasty. It is. Oh, my goodness. What a great uniform. But, of course, we're not going to do that. We're going to continue to wear the very dark green and then black. Evel Knievel had a brand. Was he an athlete? Ooh, that's a good question. No, probably not. I wouldn't call him an athlete but I'll tell you one thing. He had a heck of a healing process, didn't he? What's up, Michelle? Yeah, they still have. Yeah, those colors. Yeah, they do. On the throwback, when they celebrate the AFL, people will wear those old Raiders colors. There seems to be teams of decades. Kansas City has this one. New England had the last two. Cowboys. 80s. Yeah, the 80s is, 49ers. Giants. I mean, yeah, you could kind of split it up. Yeah, the Eagles never should have gone to the dark green, and they continue to wear the black. Terrible uniform. The Eagles have a great looking uniform, and they go to it, and everybody brags about it, and then they go back to they're wearing their same crap. They change the eagle wings. It doesn't look as good. Do I consider golfers athletes? We have this debate on the old radio show, man. I'm telling you what, we did this right after BDST started in the early 2000s, and it got heated, man, between NASCAR drivers and golfers. Are they athletes? Golfer, in my opinion, is more of an athlete than a NASCAR driver. Pickleballer, pure athlete. Athlete, like the word genius, is thrown around too often. Now, for instance, golfers have to have a unique set of skills. Why am I sounding like Liam Neeson now? I have a unique set of skills. If I find you, I will kill you. And I know that didn't sound anything like Liam Neeson. But they do have to hit all these wonderful shots, and then you're walking the course. And by the end of the day, after 4 hours, you still have to have a lot of gumption and strength to get through that. Is that athleticism or is that conditioning? I know it's tiresome to be behind the wheel. Now, back in the old day, you can make a more of an argument for the athlete in NASCAR than you can now. Is Joey Chestnut an athlete? Damn right. John Daly was athletic as hell, too. Between sips of whiskey and his cigarettes while he's playing the Players' Championship. Rita says there's levels. They are low-grade athletes. But now with NASCAR, they get to take a little reaction. They can just kind of chill out for a little while. Interesting. If you have to pee in your suit because you've been driving for hours and you're nearly dehydrated by that point, they're not driving for hours anymore. Back in the old days, it was different. But now with the stages, they can get refreshed. Absolutely, they can. They 100% can. Remember, you can win the first two stages, and it doesn't matter. I mean, whoever wins the third stage wins the whole race. So what if you have a dominant car, right? Don't get me started. I didn't let's see here. I'm looking up the question. Formula One does not have stages during the actual Sunday race. Only NASCAR. So now I'm going to ask the question here. I want to see what the rule, why. So NASCAR introduced stage racing in 2017 to boost TV viewership. But that's really worked. What's up, Abby? Good to have you back. Incentivize aggressive racing throughout the entire event and accommodate scheduled commercial breaks. Ding, 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 ding. Throw out all the other reasons. It's all about advertisers. Stage cautions create planned stoppages for networks to air advertisements without missing green flag racing action. Fans are deeply divided on the format. Restarts give fans of certain drivers a new opportunity to have a chance to win. That's what it's all about. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. Next time we get Stacey Compton on, we'll have to ask him about that. You did, T-Bird. You opened a can of worms. It's good debate, man. It's good debate. I haven't watched a NASCAR event since they went to state. It's didn't realize it had been 10 seasons. USA, Joey Chestnut representing. We're still the best eaters in the world. Can't take that away. So basically, we got the explanation. It's all about advertisers. So F1 does not have stages. There you go. So basically, we got the answer. NASCAR was trying to figure out a way to show ads. I mean, just the split screen worked fine, but advertisers, I'm sure, didn't like that. They probably weren't getting the same type of percentage rates on return when they did the split screen all the time, so you wouldn't miss any of the action or run it underneath. Heck, if I'm an advertiser, I think I'd want that even more. You could put your screen up there 3/4 with and then people are still watching, and then they're here, right? Interesting. Good stuff. No, NASCAR does have stages, Michelle. They do. The Daytona 500, I know, has stages. Right? Like it goes like 1 to 60 or 65, and then it goes to like a low hundreds number, and then it goes from that number all the way to the end. It's just like everything else. Indy does not, because Indy is F1. Yeah, I just looked. Indy does not. Oh, you talking about NASCAR? I know they do at Daytona. Let's see if Indy does. But Daytona is their biggest event. What is that called? The Brickyard? The Brickyard 400. Yeah, it all has stages. Yeah, every one of them has stages. Because they're not going to change. They're not going to ask you to run in stages for every other event and then not have it for their biggest events, right? Because the teams have already, It's the same thing. Stage 1 at the Brickyard's 50 laps. Stage 2 is 50 laps. Stage 3 is 60. There you go. No, we do not need sideline reporters in the at any sport. It's ridiculous. And I can't stand when they grab coaches who clearly do not want to be talked to. It's the same old tripe all the time. I don't know why it's deemed to be so necessary. I really don't. It adds nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it's not even a knock against, and it's for the most part, it's female sideline reporters. It's nothing about that. It's just I don't know what it adds to anything, to be honest with you. No, Daytona doesn't. Yeah, Indy does have it. I just looked it up. Brandon says we need Rick to broadcast in NASCAR. I tell you what, I used to run some of the old NASCAR races a long time ago at the radio. Those guys back the old the NASCAR radio network, those guys were unbelievable. They would have a different guy, located at each segment, each corner, because you run out, you can't see the whole race, right? So they'd have them positioned and they would switch off. Like you'd be rounding turn 2, and then all of a sudden he'll just say, takes the lead, so-and-so. Bobby Allison takes the lead, heading into turn 3. And then all of a sudden they'd go to the next guy, and he picks it right up. It's amazing. They are very talented. I'll tell you that. They are very, very talented. Very talented. And they just let it would just flow, man. The old NASCAR network. I don't know how it is now. I haven't listened to a race in years, but that I guess they have to do it the same way. Of course, now with television, they, the way they've increased the presence of cameras and stuff, they probably don't have to. Yeah, I don't like the interviews at all. I think they're silly. I think it's, if you're watching the game, I don't want to see that. Coaches, most of them don't want to do it. They feel obligated to do it. He says he hasn't watched NASCAR since Talladega Nights. Brian Siegler going to join us coming up. And then Mike Burnham. Yeah, we can do that, Wayne. Let's do that. Oh, what? Rick's broadcasting the Daytona 500.
Oh, my. Oh, no.
Is it going to work?
Oh,
it's not working.
No. That was out of nowhere. Oh, my. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah, the buttons need to work. If the buttons don't work, timing's got to be better than that. Prometheus, good point. Changing the rules have ruined most of our sports. The roughing penalties, 100%. No hand checks, and don't get me started with baseball. Yeah. The energy of that call. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Shake and bake. You know what's not a good movie, but I will always watch it, is Days of Thunder. It's a terrible movie. Terrible. But Robert Duvall's in that movie. And whenever it's on, you'll just kind of watch. It was amazing how dirty Tom Cruise would get. In the car, as if he were running dirt tracks. He would be absolutely covered in filth. Covered in filth. BDST question of the week. Brought to you by the attorney Ryan Pry. What unconventional or non-popular sport would you like to hear Rick broadcast? Some might say I do that now, Brandon, with certain sports. The terrible movie I watch all the time is Freddy Got Fingered. I don't know that. Is that Freddy Krueger? Curling, disc golf. Oh, I'd have to put on a terrible accent to do that. Do you have to be quiet like they do at NASCAR events for disc golf? Everybody's saying curling. I could see me breaking out into, oh my goodness, Team USA right here. Now they need to make sure that they need to get an aggressive slide here. They need to make sure they make contact right within the target range. They need 30 points here to stay alive for a medal. And then he does it, and then you would hear,
That was out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was my thoughts as well, Brandon. That's going to be fun. Oh, I'd love to call bowling. Oh, my goodness gracious. Chris Schenkel, one of my all-time favorite. He was a good football announcer, too. But Chris Schenkel calling bowling? Absolutely. I'd love to be a bowling broadcaster, man. Be sitting there. Matter of fact, maybe we should do that during the July 18th bash coming up at the Super Bowl. Maybe we should do that. What's up, Noah? How are you? Yeah, curling's so big, we even had cheating, right, at the Olympics. Your sport is huge when you're cheating. I'd love to call some bowling. You can go back and find the old tournaments that used to come on. A lot of times it came on Saturdays, the ABC Wild World of Sports. And just listen to Chris Schenkel. He was so good. He had such a great voice, unique voice. That's true. Well, I'm telling you what, he's 7 pins behind here. Stevens needs to make sure that he makes good contact. He can't leave himself with too much here to have to finish up. Oh no. He slipped and the ball went right into the gutter.
Oh my. Oh no. Oh no. That was out of nowhere.
Thunder says the best ever in-game interviews were when they would interview Dick Trickle during caution. That was everyone's uncle that had to light up and talk to you on the back porch. Thanks, Noah. Good stuff. Chat, you're always awesome, but the McClellan chat room today has been awesome. Awesomer. I just made up a noise, made up a word. Oh, yeah, that guy's funny, too. The boom goes the dynamite guy, Geese. Yeah, he's great. He's great. He has 9 balls and needs him for a split. Oh, no, he pulled a hammy. All right. Y'all can continue however you want. Joining us now on the program is Brian Siegler from the Battery Quarter Podcast. What's up, man?
Hey, man, what did I come in on?
You name it. It's been one of those mornings, which is great. We're in the summer. We don't have football yet. We're just kind of getting through it,
Hey, playing it fast and loose. Fast and loose, baby.
Exactly. And I'm sure you guys deal with it some. Now, you're more concentrated on tech stuff, but, you have to sometimes fill in some talking points, right?
We can get off the rails a little bit. I mean, the one thing, when you think about, like, the weekly or bi-weekly podcast in the Hokie sphere, we definitely are the more long-winded crew, and we definitely get off topic from time to time. So I feel you.
Look, one time on the old radio show, we talked about, mid-2000s. We went through the $6 Million Man, went through remember the Bigfoot? Remember Andre the Giant when he was on that show? Whether he was a cyborg or I can't remember what else it was. And it ended up being a 3-day, I bet you we had 100 calls. It was so stuff like that. Something you just go, I don't know what just happened,
But it's great content, so I'm just going to let it happen.
Exactly.
Let it happen.
It was cyborg or robot. That's what it was. And it was crazy. It was crazy. But in any event, did I miss your birthday? Wayne's saying happy birthday at the
Yeah. It was the end of last week. So yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one. We had a good time. We went out to La Mer here in Richmond for dinner, and then we went down to Virginia Beach for the weekend and hung out with the in-laws. Went down to the beach a little bit and had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, well, hanging out at the beach on a birthday, that's always a good thing, right?
It was a little warm. We were done by about like 12:31, but
But it
we
happens.
were all right.
It happens. It happens. Are you any closer yet? Where are you on trying to get ready for a season prediction? Where do you guys stand? Are you starting to rev up on your?
So we've got a more concept episode we're doing tonight. That's going to be pretty fun. So I hope everybody joins for that. We're going to start our gathering our panel together for our season preview. And that's going to take place probably the first or second week of August. And then we're going to start throwing predictions at the end of that and into the next week, as far as just our crew together. We'll probably go, we'll probably throw a prediction at that panel, and then we'll go kind of game by game the next week with just our crew, there in August. So I think we're starting to kind of feel things out and kind of get a good idea of how we're feeling, but I think we're gonna hold off for now, as we kind of roll into August and kind of start ramping things up a little bit.
So CBS Sports put out theirs, and I noticed that it was strange. In the tech synopsis, they had them losing to Clemson, but when they had the Clemson bio, they had Clemson losing to Virginia Tech. I'm thinking, wait a minute, you guys needed to go back and do some fact checking on that.
Someone didn't compare notes.
Can't have it both ways. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. So
you
I'm not
got to
sure.
compare notes here, guys.
So they had them 8-4. Did they really have them 7-5, 9-3? I don't know. These are all opinions, so none of it really matters, but it is fun talking points, right? I mean,
hey, you know what? I mean, I like where we're standing. I feel like the floor of the roster has been raised pretty significantly, just from a talent perspective. But you still got to go out there and put it all together, and that's kind of where the question marks are. And there's still one or two position groups that have me a little concerned heading into the year. But just overall talent wise and depth, I feel like we're in a lot better position right now than we were last year. So, I don't think we're going to see, us fall flat on our face, barring, several catastrophic injuries. But at the same time, I'm not sure where that ceiling is yet.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Prometheus asking, we've been talking about this a lot. It's kind of a mixed bag right now between some of the people we have on the show. So we know that this thing's about, at some point, what it's going to look like. I don't know. Coach Elmasian thinks they're going to go another conference expansion before the break off, right? To make the break off easier. A lot of people think the break off is going to happen, but I think what Coach Elmo said makes more sense, because conferences want to position themselves for the next TV contract with as much branding as they can. Do you think Tech is safe in the large picture? A lot of people here in chat do not believe they are. They feel like that's why they're promoting all these moves they're making now. Maybe they were thinking ahead for once, which is why they honed in on just James Franklin. And, he was the one guy that they had to have. They got him, and they've been, money. They hired the new AD for fundraising, money. They bring his guy from FAU. Oh, he's a fundraiser. So do you think maybe Tech's thinking they're not in that group yet and they're trying to get there? What do you think?
I think they thought they had some work left to do. That's not to say they couldn't have skated in as one of those final teams in any sort of realignment shuffle. But it's always good to have a little bit of cushion. And I feel like James Franklin, you go out there and stack some wins, you get your money right. That makes a lot better case across the board, and especially if you start, having some success in some of the other sports as well. But we know right now that football is king of this thing. This thing is all revolving around the money that football generates. So if you can get your financials right on the football side, that makes a much better case for where you sit, especially when you talk about, none of the big conferences are really tapping into the Virginia market. So there's only a couple opportunities to jump in there. And I think Virginia Tech has positioned themselves as being at least one of the two opportunities for those larger conferences to kind of jump into that market. So when you do that, and then you get everything else right on the financial side, I feel like that puts you in a very good position moving forward. with any sort of realignment discussion. So I think it was one of those things where Virginia Tech might have been in anyways, but it wouldn't have been, you wouldn't have had any cushion. And I feel like these moves gives you a little bit of cushion. And it sets you up for when those discussions happen, you're in a much better place than you were a year or two ago.
Well, I got to be honest, I've been a bit surprised by how much, I won't say it's pushback I've gotten, but I have just assumed Tech would always be part of it. But you have people that will break down their reasoning why, Andy Bitter being one, and Will Stewart being one, Mike Burnop. So, but they have the two things that I think make them a slam dunk for me. I mean, 3-9 last year, and the team hasn't been good recently, yet they're going to sell out every game. The atmosphere, and they're, even though I know it's an aesthetic thing, but their entrance is known throughout all of college football. I mean, they have all the things, the support, right? They know that their fans are going to travel. They have that. They're bringing business into the other. You know what I'm saying? They already have that in place, regardless of. Just imagine when the program gets good again, what that's going to look like.
Yeah, and you talk about the entrance and it being just an aesthetic thing, but at the same time, if you're a SEC team and all of a sudden your team is playing Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, you're gonna tune in to watch that.
Yeah, right. You're gonna take the time to watch it, right?
Yeah, so I think that is the thing that the entrance is, like you said, aesthetic, but it's still going to draw eyes to the television, especially for some of those SEC fans that have kind of watched it from from a neutral standpoint, and now we're kind of potentially getting in there and, oh well, my team's playing Virginia Tech, I got to watch this, and I got to tune in early to watch this entrance against my team. So I think it's not nothing. It may not be everything, but it's certainly not nothing.
Yeah, I just think because they've been losing people, that kind of took on a different vibe a little bit when they'd go out and, hey, there's Sandman. Oh, they're down by 3 touchdowns before halftime. That was the kind of thing that they have to change. And when they start winning again, it'll start meaning something again, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because when the tradition started, we were as good as any team in the country. And I think that's the difference. That's kind of where we're at right now, is that when this tradition started and it carried on, for over 12 years before we started having a step back. For 12 years, you knew you were getting a great entrance and 4 quarters of hell.
Yeah, right. But in the last couple of years, though, we've had fans are saying we should not do it, right? I've heard from a lot of fans, they're like, they say that we're embarrassed about, hey, Dwight Vick, you've had him on the show. He's like, we should just kill this thing.
We should kill it until we start winning again.
Exactly.
That has been some of the talk. Hey, even on Boundary Corner, Jonathan Talley said, hey, if we're not winning, that entrance doesn't matter. And I agree. I agree that the entrance is window dressing until you start stacking some wins, and then it matters in a bigger way.
So they've got that part of it down. It's just about winning on the field. And now I think with all the money coming in, if they show that progress and can contend and be part of the ACC for however long the ACC stays together, and I don't think it's going to be too much longer, like we know it anyway. But still, if they do all that, I still think they're going to be fine. In long term, I think Virginia Tech's brand in itself will be fine. I really do.
I definitely think, like I said, Franklin brings a little bit of extra cushion to those discussions.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about, his tenure being, whatever it is, we don't know how long this ride is going, but I think this ride is going to go long enough to navigate whatever those next discussions are. And I think that's the biggest part of it. And after that, the chips fall where they may. But this is a very important next 5 years or so to navigate from a future of college football perspective. And having Franklin at the helm to guide that, I think, is going to be important. Because if you can start getting some wins along with all of the behind the scenes things that Franklin brings to the table and just the national media attention that having a James Franklin as your head coach brings to you, that's going to matter in all of these discussions that are coming down the pike.
Well, what's so frustrating is we don't have any time frame on anything in college athletics. You know, we just go here, like you just said. It could be. It's you would think in 5 years we would know, but there's no indication about anything. How do you prepare for it? I mean, now we're seeing all these lawsuits starting to pop up one by one, like Ross Dellinger from Yahoo. Everybody's challenging the 5 for 5 deal because their age falls beyond it. So here we are, something that makes so much sense in the world. You can't even pass that without it being taken to court. It's just bizarre where we are. It really is.
Yeah. Well, you know, and some of this is on the NCAA for not being proactive, yeah. Going back, over a decade at this point. Ed O'Bannon, like as soon as Ed O'Bannon happened, they should have started planning for the future instead of just fighting the inevitable.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. That resulted in decisions being handed down, open season on recruiting and the money in the sport now. It's just one of those things where, an ounce of prevention could have, made it so we're not in this pound of cure need right now. And now we're at a point where if you don't get something that happens at the congressional level soon, it's going to be a problem.
I know.
And I mean, it's already a problem, but it can continue to grow and continue to, make this situation even more untenable long term. And I don't really know if what's kind of circulating through Congress is gonna get the thumbs up. I mean, it's probably the best attempt so far. The reason that you feel like you can say this is probably at least a good start, and is that people on the right hate it, people on the left hate it, people in the SEC and Big Ten hate it, some people in the ACC and Big 12 hate it. Like everybody hates it a little bit, but that's probably a good thing because if it's favorable to one side or the other, or one political spectrum or the other, then you're probably working with something that's not going to be a long-term solution. At least this seems like there's a lot of things to like in it. There's a couple things that each pocket of this discussion hate a little bit, but I think it's something that's at least gives you a starting framework that can always be tweaked down the road.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, college football is the biggest non-professional sport industry that we have in terms of sports, right? In terms of TV viewings, the money that it brings in. So it doesn't matter what you look at the world or how you look at politics, you all love it. We all love it. It's all a big part of you. So you got to be able to see it maybe you care more about that, right? Maybe that becomes the thing instead of worrying about all these biases you might share politically or otherwise, right? The thing needs to be the most important thing. So,
yeah. And making it so that thing can continue to grow sustainably long-term is more important than, one or two problems that you have with the overall framework.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, we shall see. But once we get into the season and games start, like we were talking about this earlier, people are looking forward to it. It always helps, doesn't it? When you're just sitting there watching a football game. At that point, you can just go, all right, let's just forget about it for a few hours and let's just see what happens today. And Brian, I've said this last year. I think it showed a lot. I thought the quality of college football was really high, and I think the portal was the reason why. No matter what game you watch, not just a Tech game you just watch a random game on a Saturday night in the WAC, you're going, this is pretty good. These guys, the game somehow has improved through all these things that are going on, the game on the field. And I can't say that about the NFL in any way, shape, or form. I think it's regressed in many ways. But in the college football last year was a good product, I thought, a really strong product.
It's a good product, and I feel like, people really slammed some of the discourse that was going on with Saban and all of the, I had a guy on my roster that was second or third string, and now he's getting, twice the offer to play somewhere else. That's a good thing. That means that Alabama's not sitting with their third stringer that's, a high 4-star that could be playing somewhere else. You don't have these, one or two teams that are hoarding 3 levels of talent on their roster at any given moment where, they could take 2 injuries at one position and still be okay. you're not going to have as much of that with NIL, because there's always going to be a market for those, 4-star players that may not be seeing the field after a year or two to play elsewhere. So you're going to end up spreading the talent out a little bit more, because even the deepest pocket team isn't going to pay, several $100,000 for a third string linebacker.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get to that point. So I think that's why this is a good thing. It's going to spread the talent out a little bit more. That's why I'm not a huge fan of the expansion of the playoff, because you're going to see more opportunity for teams you haven't seen in the 12-team playoff start, making a push for that as this talent continues to get distributed throughout, some of those second tier, third tier teams. I mean, I know we look at Indiana and we say that's kind of an aberration, but I think that's long-term going to be something that could happen at a lot of places. Not necessarily a historically bad program like Indiana.
Yeah.
But teams that have had, some success in the past and have good financial setups, and, when they get the cocktail right, they can make their push, whether that's, once every 5 years, once every 10 years. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at compared to kind of where we were in the 2010s, where it was basically, if you weren't one of 6 teams, you didn't have a chance.
I know. It's weird the way you went through the BCS and even recently the 4-team playoff, and how everybody just was being told again and again, well, we can't expand. It's just all these terrible reasons that have completely gotten shot down now that the money has gotten so big. But you're right. How silly was it that a 13-0 Florida State team was left out of the playoff? And what reason did they make up? Oh, they lost their quarterback, so we can't put them in. Just things like that. It's hard. And, that's only been a few years ago. It's not like this is 10, 20 years ago. It just shows you that the evolution, it has come a long way, and it needs to come a little further, throughout the whole thing.
And my big problem with that is I feel like we kind of lost the narrative on that selection. And that's where I was like, we've got to expand, because this is a problem. When your resume doesn't matter anymore because of one injury, that's a problem.
What? And they tried to sell that. They were literally coming to the podium and saying, well, this is why that's why they weren't considered for that. Just what? What's that mean? That means every game that they won didn't matter. They could have gone 0-13. It couldn't have, it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
One injury was enough to keep an entire team out, regardless of their resume. So I wish we would, one of the things that I think the BCS had right was a little bit more objectivity in the selection.
It's very true. It was computer based more.
Yeah, so I would prefer, if there's another expansion, we bring some element of that back in.
Yes. Keep humans out of it as much as possible.
As much as possible, because, build an algorithm that you feel confident about. Share that algorithm so people know
exactly
how we're getting there.
Be transparent for once. Right.
So people know how we're getting there. Because the problem I have is that strength of, right now in the selection committee, strength of schedule matters till it doesn't. Wins and losses matter till it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
We never know where the target is. And it's going to create outrage every time. If you bring some objectivity into it, at least here's the criteria, and here's why this team got in over this other team. And you can even have a points breakdown where you see the kind of how those points were distributed throughout the algorithm, and what the calculation was to get the team in. Be transparent about it, so we at least know. We can see the math. We can work backwards and see how you got there. Even if we disagree with it, we at least understand it.
Yeah, 100%. Look what they've told Notre Dame. Look, you just got to finish in the top 12. That might be 1 loss. That might be 2 losses. Who knows? But we need your brand part of this. They basically set up their season for them, right? Their expectation has to be, okay, well, what's it going to take? Maybe we lose 1 or 2 at the most, right? But we're going to be okay. We know we're going to be part of this thing. So it's just bizarre. Like you said, it just, what rules are in place? We don't, it does seem to be a sliding scale, doesn't it?
It matters. It's a different reason every year for keeping a team in or out, or whatever it may be. So head to heads matter until they don't. It's all over the place.
Well, and that's what Tech's trying to be. They just want it to be an afterthought. We're going to be part of this regardless. Now we have to go out and put the product on the field, and let's earn our way, into this thing. We know that we're in the pool. Now we have to become part of the tournament, and that's got to be the mindset going forward. And I think that's what it is right now.
Yeah. So, and you got to position yourself to be at the top of the ACC first, because if you're not at the top of the ACC, you're probably not getting into the 12 team. So
yeah.
You don't necessarily have to win the ACC, but you certainly have to be playing in that championship game for sure if you want to have a chance in the 12 team.
100%. 100%. Good stuff. Good discussion, brother. So what are you guys doing this week? Yours is your week on, right? Or is it off?
Yeah, we're live tonight. We're talking a little bit about James Franklin and the erasers that he's talked about on the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to kind of break down some of the all-time great Virginia Tech erasers on the defensive side of the ball. So
that'll be good.
We're going to talk that a little bit, see who we think might be, potentially one of those erasers on this team, and then kind of look at things from a historical perspective.
I know who mine is. Cornell Brown.
Yes. He started it all.
I know.
He started it all.
I retweeted. There was a highlight reel, and you go back and you watch it. That was in the big shoulder pad era. It made him look even more intimidating, and he was so athletic. I was just like, wow, I remember that guy. That's that guy, isn't it? That's the guy who started it all. Bud Foster will tell you, Cornell Brown, the most important recruit we ever got during that era, right there. So, well, have fun tonight. So you guys will be live on Instagram. You'll be on the X. You'll be everywhere, right? YouTube.
Everywhere. Go check out YouTube. That's the best spot for us. But yeah, we'll be live everywhere, and then everything will be ready on the podcast platforms the next day. So go check it out.
All right, brother. Well, have a good one. You guys will. People, check them out tonight. 9:00, right?
9:00.
9:00. All right. All right, man.
Sir.
Well, stay safe, and we'll talk to you next week. I want to get the results of this, by the way. Your erasers from the past. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. All right.
Appreciate
it,
Rick.
Take care, man.
Pleasure.
You too, brother. Take care. Great stuff from Brian Siegler. Didn't he look refreshed coming back from his birthday vacay? Correct, Prometheus. We're going to look at this. By the way, I did not know this. So let me go back up. We have something that is very, very serious to discuss here. Tony Powell, who is just a terrific dude. He broadcasts. He's one half of the broadcast team for Pulaski County football. He's created a touchdown club again. He's kept it to another evolution. Everybody loves TP, and TP starts his first round of chemo today. And he's saving the show to listen while he's in the chair and welcome. I'll tell you what, TP's not watching right now. Can everyone in chat just let TOE POW12, Tony Powell, know you're thinking about him, praying for him. TP, we're thinking about you. If there's anything that I can do, anything that anybody here can do, we're all family. Don't think that we won't. So we're thinking about you, man. And please, when you feel like it, please keep us updated. And do not hesitate to let us know, because you're a big part of this program, but you're also a terrific friend. And I'm sorry that you're dealing with this. But I know you are a very strong person. I know your faith is very strong, and I know you have a strong spirit, and I have no doubt that you will rise through this. So prayers up, brother. Prayers up as you deal with your chemo and the treatment. So thanks everybody in advance for letting him know. TV numbers, and here you go. Here are the top rated television numbers, a top 10 last year. And this is exactly what the SEC is holding strong on in every negotiation, in every mindset going forward. It may or may not surprise you that 8 out of the top 10 schools in terms of television ratings were from the SEC last year. Why did Alabama get in? Look, we all know. We discussed it at the time. Nobody watches any team in the country more than they watch Alabama. It's the same thing Nick Saban, well, he helped build this brand to where it is in the modern age of television viewing and resources and money. But he told Nike, he told everybody, we're Alabama. We're the brand. We don't need to wear. Remember, they wanted them, Nike presented these horrible uniforms. They were black, and then they wanted to put the elephant on the helmet. And Saban just kind of said, no, what are we doing? We're Alabama. How about they averaged last year 8.49 million viewers every time they were on TV. Why do you think they made the playoff? Why do you think all these sorry excuses were thrown out with 3 losses? There was no other excuse. It's about Alabama's TV eyes. Texas was next, the Texas Longhorns. Nearly 7.5, a little bit over 7.5 million viewers every time they're on TV. I don't know why. I think Geese says he's a Texas fan. For some reason, Texas being that high surprises me a little bit. Not that they're in the top 10, but they're ahead of Georgia, who's third, at 7.48 million. And then the first non-SEC school, you know who it is, right? It's Ohio State, 6.57 million. This one does surprise me. Being in the top 5 surprised me. When we talk about blue bloods, Oklahoma is 5th, 6.47. LSU does not surprise me. They're 6.42 million. Tennessee is 7th, 6.21 million. What's up, Rev? Auburn, number 8, 5.26 million. Michigan comes in at 9, 5.08, and then Texas A&M. The highest single game, though, was Michigan-Ohio State over any SEC matchup. You realize that Ohio State and Michigan last year on Fox drew 18.5 million viewers. Wow. So there's 8 out of the 10 in the SEC. And so they got this, right? They've got this in their back pocket. You don't think those numbers are what these networks are counting on going forward? And that's why I think you're going to see even more of a desire to expand these leagues, as Coach Elmo talked about yesterday. Notre Dame is absent from this top 10. I have been to one Iron Bowl. I did that in college. Friend of mine I met, his name was Tex, and he was from, they were big Auburn fans, his family. So I went to an Iron Bowl weekend with him, and it is the most intense atmosphere to this day to any sporting event I have ever gone to. He tried to prepare me, and he even warned me, look, we'd love it if you wore Auburn stuff, but you should just go as a neutral person. So when the SEC says it just means more, I think that is a little bit of a tribute to its fan bases in terms of how these rivalry games in particular are built up and carried out. But that is huge, huge. 8 out of the top 10 are from the SEC. And even though, the Big Ten's won the last 3 titles, and even though they distributed more money, the SEC is falling on that. Yep. So, in any event, here we are. And where would Virginia Tech fit in that? I don't know. Morris says Texas, I would say, is number one for several reasons. Well, they're number two. More money. They do have more money in their athletic department than any school. Is the Longhorn Network still a thing? That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know. A question with Tech is how much TV expansion do they bring to the table? Isn't that part of the footprint? Yes, it is. That's a great question, Tebow. I don't know the answer to that. That's a great question. The Big Ten has Maryland. I'm trying to think, Virginia's not part. The state of Virginia is not part of the two big leagues. I don't know. That's a good question. And I think that's the question they're trying to, put an end to at the same time. If they win, they have a better chance of falling in that footprint. But the thing's going to be that, all eyes from the talking heads will fall in on that as well. It's going to be part of it as this thing progresses. Low Country. What's up, Low Country? It does mean more. Having lived in South Carolina, it's all about the Gamecocks down there. Hard to find someone who doesn't care. Here in the NRV, it's amazing how people don't care about Tech football. Yeah. Yeah, well, they do bring Maryland, but Maryland's already in the Big Ten. That's why I'm saying that, one of the reasons I don't think Tech was ever going to be a fit in the Big Ten. Now, the SEC might see it differently because you are bringing that market in there. But that is exactly what they look for, what Tebow said. And I guess that's what they have to assess. I mean, that's why the Big Ten went coast to coast to begin with. The SEC, it's interesting. Here's the thing about all this. They're a contradiction to their own benefit. What I mean by that is when the Big Ten decided to expand, it was all about geography, right? Rutgers in Maryland, stupid, right? Well, they wanted to get tapped into that northeastern New Yorkish market with the Rutgers, and they wanted that northeastern shoreline market with Maryland. Has it given them what they needed? Not in terms of TV viewing. Those two schools, nobody watches those schools. And then they bring in UCLA and USC to take the second largest media market into their league. The SEC has kept it all. Now, they've obviously gone a little more westward with Texas and Oklahoma, but they've kept it all pretty much regionally based, and you see the benefits right there. Now, is it because they're on the ESPN networks? Does that help? Does it make it more convenient and easier for people to watch? Sure. Sure it does. But 8 out of the top 10 in the SEC, they have that over the Big Ten. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Money that, and all the money that, Tech's boasted about, some of these schools just look at and go, how much? Hang on. There's a wad of cash. I just pulled this out of my shoe. And nobody richer than SMU. Nobody. I wonder what Notre Dame averaged. Let me look that up. I wonder what Notre Dame averaged. They have their own contract, obviously. Notre Dame. No, why did it go to that? Why did it go to EA Sports? Oh, I wanted. I better put in television ratings instead of EA. It went from TV to EA. All right, so Notre Dame football last year, 3.3 million viewers per game. So they fall outside of the top 10. Overall, the Fighting Irish experienced slightly decreased ratings compared to the historical peak after they withdrew from bowl consideration. So there you go. There you go. So Notre Dame is down a bit, but you're still getting 3 million, and that's only one network. Right? It's only one network as opposed to going to this ESPN network, to that ESPN network, to the SEC network, to ABC. You have 4 different opportunities, right? So maybe it is worth their while. And I guess if you're not sharing any of the royalties with anyone else, for Notre Dame, it's a no-brainer. And I guess for the network, they don't have to worry about it either, and they get to keep more of their cut of it as well. I was told, by the way, speaking about that, I did have a conversation with Big Ten guy over the weekend. And I said, what's all this noise about UVA in the SEC? It makes no sense to me. I said, we're talking about on the show. And he goes, well, from what I understand, he goes, the only reason the SEC has shown any interest at all in Virginia, or at least saying they have interest, is because the Big Ten presidents are already going around telling people that they're coming, that they're one of the schools that will join their league. Take it for what it's worth, but he's not been wrong one time. So maybe the SEC is just kind of acting like, hey, we're going to put this out there, and maybe they're trying to, but it makes no sense. It's not made any sense from the get-go, especially when you see that the SEC has all these teams ranked. Virginia's not going to bring any extra television ratings to the SEC's almost monopoly of the top 10. Now, the presidents in the Big Ten they value so highly the academic brand of UVA. Well, I mean, I'm talking about the ACC, Morris. I guess I should have said the ACC. SMU has got the largest funding in the ACC. I think that's what I meant to say there. But yeah, Texas overall has the richest athletic department, and they boast about it quite frequently. Quite frequently. Quite frequently. Yeah, I'm going to be interesting too, Prometheus. Those numbers you're citing, like how long? I wonder how long that's going to satiate these athletic departments with the rising costs of everything. Right? I don't know the answer to that either. I mean, you think about this. Let's say we don't, and at this point, I think the answer is no, since there's not going to be any rules that's going to stop any of the spending. If you have a $60 million football roster, you have to construct every year just to be at a certain level. How much does that? How long is that money going to last? 2 years? I mean, I'm just asking the question. But anyway, that's the answer I got. No, you're right, Morris. I meant to say, if I didn't say ACC, that's on me. That's on me. Family Fencing, by the way. 540-200-8294. Get a free quote from them today. FamilyFencingNRV.com. McClellan Chiropractic, sponsor of our chat room. Thanks to Mark Hunley. I'm going to go see him tomorrow. And hopefully we can get some video of all the great stuff that they have going on over there. Don't forget, we opened the show with it. And I want to remind everybody, Professional Door Incorporated celebrating 40 years in business here in July. And you've got to call them during the month to set up your appointment. $40 off if you just say, hey, we heard them talking about it on BDST. You don't have to have the service done to your garage doors in July, but you have to schedule it. Reach out to Travis, 674-0008. 674-0008. We're presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Thanks to Jonathan Sweet and all of those wonderful folks. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. The attorney Ryan Price, sponsor of our fan question of the week, 701 West Main Street in Radford, trust and estate planning. Absolutely. National Bank member FDIC, my exclusive banking partner, and hopefully they will be yours as well. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. Give James a call, 540-381-8011. They're at 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. The NRV Super Bowl, 382-5525, and we are going to be headed there on the 18th for our bash. Be sure to come out and hang out with us on the 18th. We're going to start around 6 o'clock, and you are welcome. So I know we have to get them a head count here, and I'm thinking maybe we tell them, 30 people, Morris, 20, 30 people? I mean, I know people will intend to be there, and things always pop up, especially on the weekends. I wouldn't think any more than that. Maybe I'm wrong. But thanks to Terry and Amanda for hosting us, and go see them all the time. They've put in a lot of money to the Super Bowl. It is really cool over there. ReadySetFund.com, Bob Christ, BOBCRST11 at Gmail. Read and know about how a series of text messages can make a lot of money for your school group, sports team, whatever it may be. Good stuff. Yeah. So for me, I think it's just noise, right? It's just a lot of noise that the SEC is trying to conjure up. Big Ten guy says that you're going to see a battle here soon between Petitti, the commissioner, Tony Petitti, and Greg Sankey. He says that the lines are starting to be drawn a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there and what that exactly means. Yeah. What's up, Bringer? 90. Our best to Croatia. Coach Elmo says Miami will definitely bring in more ratings. Yeah, they will. People are going to watch them. The Canes, they are their brand. If they win, the U is something that will carry them forward. No doubt about it. Florida State used to have that a little bit. I'm not sure they have that as much as they used to because they haven't recovered since they were left out of the playoff when they were 13-0. But it's a good conversation now. Thanks to Brian Siegel. Joining us now on the program, courtesy of Louise Baker, Louise Baker Team Long and Foster. He's outdoors, It's Mike Burnett. Where are you? What are you doing? Oh, I see palm trees. I know where you are.
How about that? Can you see in the distance there, Rick? We got a little bit of water back there.
Look at that view. Yes, I do. Wow.
Not
Very
bad.
envious.
on my front deck looking out. Yes, indeed.
My goodness gracious. Well, how's it going down there since you got down there? How was your 4th?
4th was great. Had some great fireworks we could see from the deck and had some great food. It's been delicious, and the weather's been perfect. Man, oh man, there's a couple little clouds in the sky today, but it's been awesome whole time we've been here. And we'll head back later this week and get ready for next week. Back to the grind. But yeah, it's been great so far.
Well, how many folks did you end up at the house to celebrate the 4th of July? I know you expected a pretty large group.
Yeah, I think we ended up, it wasn't quite as big. I think we had about 12 or 14, 16 here maybe for the 4th. And it's back down to about 10 or 12. And yeah, so it's been good. A couple of people have come and gone. And yeah, but it's been fantastic. And again, just some great food. My buddy down here, he got us hooked up with some fresh fish. So we've had some Gulf shrimp. We have had some fresh grouper. And we've got some yellowfin tuna, and we got some snapper we're going to have tonight. So yeah, it's been delicious so far.
What is your favorite? If you had to pick one, what's your favorite type of fish? Like just your pure fish. What do you like the best?
Probably grouper. It's a nice white fish, and gosh, I think the fish that Tony, his guy, said he caught was probably about 40 pounds, and that thing was thick. I mean, it had to be 3 inches thick in the middle. And so, yeah, it was all filleted. We just threw it on the grill, had some great sauce on it, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of Old Bay, had some different kind of seasonings on there, some olive oil, butter. And, I mean, it's a nice white fish, came out just absolutely delicious. And so, yeah, that was big time. That was good stuff.
People in chat complimenting your tan. You do look great. You look at that. You got that nice. You got the natural bronze going, my friend. So.
I got a shade or two, a darker shade of gray.
Is Rolf down there with you? Did Rolf jump in there with you this year?
No, he stayed down in Fort Lauderdale. They were having some stuff going on down there, and he stayed down in Lauderdale, and I think he's had good weather as well. But it's been fun. Yeah, I'll tell you, I had a couple of my teammates here, Rick, the other day, and yeah, I guess it was. Gosh, it must have been Sunday. And, we called up one of our former coaches, picked up the phone right away. Dan Henning. How about that? Dan Henning was our offense. He was our offensive coordinator when we were here at Tech with Strock and all. And we must have been on the phone with him for about a half an hour retelling stories and whatnot. And, of course, he was the head coach at Boston College, the Atlanta Falcons, longtime coordinator in the NFL. He's retired, of course, living up in he lives in Ponte Vedra most of the year, but in the wintertime, in the summertime, he goes up to Saratoga, New York. That's where he was when we talked to him. And gosh, he said he's doing really, really good, beat cancer a little while back. And we talked about having him come up for a game. He said, you just let me know when, where, what time, and I'll be there. And, God, what a great guy he was, and what an incredibly brilliant offensive mind he had.
Oh, yeah, Dan Henning, he did. He had quite the reputation in the league. He was in the league a long time, wasn't he, in the NFL?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he absolutely was. A lot of different places, worked for a lot of different people, and he was at the Dolphins for a long time. And, yeah, he stays in touch with Don Strock, and said he gets a birthday card from him every year.
That's
I
awesome.
like that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it'd be great to get him back up there, and maybe Don Strock. Because I know BA's coming up. Bruce Arians is coming up for the Pitt game for the Hall of Fame weekend. The game's Friday night, and the dinner's Saturday night. Bruce is coming up for that. So I may try to see if I can get him up to come up to that game. That'd be kind of a nice reunion.
It really would. If you could get all those guys, oh, that would be cool, man. That would take on a story in itself. To be honest with you, that'd be cool.
Yes, it would.
How's Strock doing, by the way? How's Don doing these days?
He's doing well. Yeah, he's hanging in there. He's had a few health issues like everybody our age, and but he's hanging in there, doing okay. And I don't know how much golf he's playing now, but he still does that fundraiser, that charity fundraiser in the fall for golf. And yeah, I think he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear, man. Well, I'll tell you what, when you walk out in the morning and you're down in that environment, I mean, whatever kind of mood you're in, right, your day just all of a sudden goes, all right, this is going to be a good day.
There's no such thing as a bad day at the beach, Rick.
No.
We're going to take the grandkids here today down to a place that's called the Track. And the Track is just like it's a little small, like amusement park type thing, but it's got go-kart tracks on where you can go on concrete. And it's also got one that's a wooden track. So we're going to take them on out. They got bumper boats and they got stuff like that. So we're going to go down there this morning at about 10 o'clock and when it opens and have a good time with them. That'll be fun. Yeah.
Louise Baker, thanks to her for Mike Burnup's appearance. Louise down there with you? I figured she may have stowed away in your suitcase down there.
We have been texting back and forth, and she did let me know that kind of a friend of ours, one of my former teachers, Peg Driscoll, she was at Virginia Tech for the longest time. One of the best teachers I had, PE teacher. She was at Virginia Tech forever, Peg Driscoll. And then she passed away. They're going to have her funeral and all that stuff. Yeah, I think she was 92, I think. But she passed away. I know, it was sad. She was one of the best I had. Loved that lady. Stayed in touch with her afterwards. She went to we still go to went to the same Catholic church for a long time and used to see her in church, and we'd have some good memories and laughs about some of the guys and what we did in class. She taught all kinds of stuff in PE, even square dancing, Rick. And she made us do a square dance song. We had to come up with a song and the lyrics and all that, like the swing your partner do-si-do.
Yeah.
And here we go and around we go, something. I mean, it was
that's
you
cool.
Talk about a classic now. Seeing these football players doing that, that was a sight. A sight for sore eyes.
Yeah, a sight for sore eyes. Yeah. You know, just thinking about mentioning Coach Henning, I know you have a lot, but you think about when you got to Tech and you started your career and you were developing as a person and a football player. You were just, I mean, those coaches and how important they were, right? Once you got to Tech to help you with all that, when guys like Dan Henning, when you got there.
I know. I told him the other day, you know, it was so different when Jerry Claiborne was there my first 2 years. I mean, all he believed in was running the football, defense, and special teams. He wasn't a passing guy, right? He said, when you throw the football, 3 things can happen and 2 of them are bad.
Right.
That was the old school back then, right? And then Charlie Coffey comes in and gets Dan Henning as the offensive coordinator. And I mean, we're throwing the ball all over the yard, right? I mean, we'd open up the game with long stretch passes down the sideline and all kinds of stuff. And it kind of made Don Strock what he was today. And so, yeah, it was so much different and all that sort of stuff. But, yeah, he had a great impact. And, you know, after our junior year, Dan left and went to, I think he went back to the NFL. He had a chance to go back to the NFL, left us. I told him the other day, I said, you know what? I said, if we had a transfer portal back then, or he might have went back to Florida State. I forget which. I said, if they had a portal back then, I said, I thought about leaving, man. I said, what you did for Virginia Tech that year and putting us on the map and our offense was great. I hated to see you leave.
Yeah.
Because then the next guy, the coordinator that came in was Wally English, who became a head coach later on, but totally different offense and not near as fun and not as people didn't have near as much success either for the first part of the season because he ran a different offense and then went back to what Henning ran. He got smart.
Yeah. So he tried to change what was working and maybe not. Maybe not.
Like, dude, you got Don Strock. Come on, man.
Yeah, right. How did that change your approach when all of a sudden you had somebody, hey, I get the ball's going to be in my hands for a change. I'm not just sitting there helping somebody else run by me at the line of scrimmage.
No, I know. You know, everything changed back then, Rick. It was like you wore those big old shoulder pads and all that kind of stuff because basically you're a glorified tackle, right, under Claiborne. And I think I was the second lead receiver and caught 10 passes as a sophomore.
Wow.
And that was like, that's starting. And then the next year you come back and Dan Henning is there and Charlie Coffey and all those guys. JB Barber was our running back. We were throwing the ball all over the place, and, there wasn't as much running going on. But, yeah, you knew you were going to be involved in the offense, and it was just a whole lot more fun. Now, our defense wasn't very good. We'd score 39 points and lose. but it was fun to watch, and those checkerboard end zones like Tennessee had, that was something Charlie Coffey bought in, and the orange became really a predominant color. And I love those helmets with the state of Virginia on the side of it, with the big check across where Blacksburg was. Those were some of the coolest helmets ever.
I love those helmets. I do.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite. Looking at those, I wish they do. I wish they'd go back one day on a throwback day and wear those. That would be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And they have a way of doing that with uniforms and all kinds of stuff. That wouldn't be that hard to do.
What was your who was your first touchdown catch against?
Back then, hey, that's a hard shoot. That's a good question. I don't know if I remember the answer to that. Yeah,
I get it. I understand.
I caught a lot of passes, but I didn't catch a ton of touchdowns. I was kind of like the middle guy,
Yep.
You run those 10-yard curls, you run those out patterns, you're a check down receiver, that type of thing, because you had guys on the outside were pretty fast, the wide receivers, and they'd stretch the field. But sometimes that would leave the middle open, and so I was more kind of that middle guy. So, but it was fun. What a great offense, fun offense. I love when teams would blitz and you were the hot receiver. I mean, I caught a ton of passes that way too. You just released because you knew the linebackers were gone.
Yep.
So you had that one-on-one coverage with the safety, and he was kind of back a little bit, and you'd catch that ball 5 yards off the line of scrimmage and just kind of take off till they catch up with you. It was a fun offense, I'm telling you.
Well, along those lines, Brandon asking you, Mike, what are you looking most forward to with football this year? I'm guessing maybe that position, tight end, right? Tight end might be you.
Yeah.
You're going to be excited to see how those guys contribute. I know Luke Reynolds.
There's so many of them right now, and that room is so talented. Those guys, Luke Reynolds came from Penn State, and you got Benji Gosnell and Jerikas Harrison. Those guys are really, really talented. They all have a little different skill set, but they all got good hands. And the way they caught the ball in the spring game, 17 catches with all the tight ends and the quarterbacks. I think that's something to definitely look forward to because, when just didn't seem like they got more involved in the offense the last few years. And you could see there in the spring game, they're good check down receivers. If the outside's covered, they're good across the middle. They can stretch the field because all those guys can run. So that is one thing I'm definitely looking forward to. Yes.
Well, it just opens up so much. We've been talking about a lot this week with Grantham and with Coach Elmo, about 12 and 13 personnel and the problems that it creates for coordinators. It's always like, that's the one offense that I'm looking forward to. It's kind of football that I like. I never have liked all this spreading out. I never have liked the spread and all that. And you hear these guys break down the advantages of it, Mike. Well, you know it. I mean, you were part of it. You understand what it means, but it is almost today. It's kind of come back as being the perfect offense, I think, in college football. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've had to change your defense to kind of match up with them because football is all about matchups, and trying to get the advantage and of what you can do and what you can't do and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a big difference, and it does create some issues for sure, especially when you got tight ends that can run. And they definitely have some of that there.
Well, I know you'll get back next week. When is the final appearance for James Franklin in Roanoke, right? It's going to be
going to be Monday night the 13th. Yeah, Monday the 13th at Hotel Roanoke. I'm pretty sure it's sold out. Probably going to be 600 people there. We got a nice reception planned beforehand and sit-down dinner. It's going to be great, and that'll be the last one. And then they'll get a little more vacation, then it's back to the grind for them. You won't see much of those guys till about January. They'll be in the groove by then when they come back. And I think some of the workouts have gone very, very well so far. And, it's going to be fun to see how those guys developed in the off season, because that's when a lot of the stuff happens. You get bigger, faster, stronger. And, some of those guys come to the top in terms of leadership and all those sorts of things. And so that should be fun.
when you look at this team, Mike, there's so much, a lot of people are so excited about the amount of depth, the talent. The bottom has been raised very significantly. But if you looked at some things, and I won't necessarily say it's a major concern for you, what are you going to be keeping an eye on once we get closer to camp? You want to see develop a little further before Tech gets going here?
I think the offensive line, I want to see those guys that weren't able to go through spring practice, really both sides of the line, because, people talk so much about skilled people and all that. But, man, if you don't have linemen on both sides of the ball, you're not going to go very far. And I think so many of those guys were out in the spring on the offensive line. I think the core is good. I think he's got 8 or 9 guys that can play. But some of those guys came with pretty good credentials, and I think they will certainly challenge for playing time. And if they come along and show there'll be great competition there, and that'll only help them. Same way on the defensive line. They were a little bit thin there, and I think you need a little more depth. And there were a couple of guys that were hurt in that regard as well. Yeah. And still, I think the cornerbacks and safeties, that's still a little bit of a work in progress in terms of depth. So I think that's something that needs to be shored up as well. I think the offense is going to be good enough to score points, a lot of points. And I'm hoping the defense has enough skill to be able to do what you want to do. I mean, it's like James Franklin talks about. You got to have these guys that are erasers. They can make a play when you need it and change the course of the game. The Corey Moore type guys and the Bruce Smith type guys that can make something happen. Like when Corey Moore took over that Clemson game with Brandon Streeter was the quarterback and had to flip sack for the touchdown. That Ren Lane Stadium was rocking, man. I mean, those are the kind of guys you got to have. And so that depth on defense needs to be there so you can be able to play the kind of defense you want. If you got good cornerbacks and defensive ends that can force pressure on the quarterback in terms of the ends, and then play that man-to-man coverage on the outside, that can free you up to do a lot of different things on defense. And I think that's a big plus I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, I'd agree. The O-line is always going to have to be a concern and make sure they have the right chemistry there. And then defensively, too, I'm very curious to see how things develop there long term. Yeah. I think that's going to be because I think you're right. I think the offense, if the O-line is just capable, I think the offense has a chance to really score some, quite a few touchdowns.
A couple of those running backs, were out in the spring, too. So, when you get Hawkins back and some of those kids that transferred in and the portal guys, that's going to be good competition there, too, with Jeffrey Overton and all those. I think that room can be good. But, again, that running game is only as good as that offensive line. And so those guys have got to come together. That's that old saying. It's what's up front that counts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Hey, before we let you go, Mike, appreciate you joining us on vacation. This is year 45 for you, right? Is that right? Coming up in the booth?
I think might be 44. I think it's 44.
Okay.
I think so.
Right. People were asking in chat. So 44 years for Mike in the booth. Wow. 4 decades, 4.5 decades.
Just goes to show you, damn, how many fourth quarters ago that was, right? As Coach Beamer would say, that's a lot of fourth quarters.
You started, was it Jeff Charles you started with? Is that right?
Jeff Charles and Bill Dooley.
Yeah.
We're going to run that sweep style play around the right side and come back and run it up the middle. Billy Hyde had a great, hey, diddle, diddle, we're coming up the middle.
I've forgotten that Bill Dooley was on the broadcast.
Oh, yeah. We were there 5 years with them, those two guys. And then obviously then Beamer came, and that was a long run with Coach Beamer. And then, of course, kind of changed a little bit after that with Coach Fu and then Brent Pry. Yeah.
Wow.
Not as many. Hey, I've worked with a lot more basketball coaches, though.
I know.
That's been a revolving door for years.
I miss Jeff. It's hard to believe he's gone. It really is.
I know. He was the best. Yeah. He stayed in touch with him for years and years and years. And Debbie, his wife. Yeah, they were great people.
Yeah. Great people. Great people. Well, as are you, my friend, and we thank Louise Baker again for her support. And man, you got several more days. It sounds like so. And today,
we'll come back Saturday, I think, and we get a few more days. It'll be fun, and looking forward to it, and then getting back in it, and we'll be ready to rock and roll with some football. And looking forward to seeing Louise next week too. We appreciate everything she does, and She's awesome as well.
She's on the beach right now tanning, isn't she? She got out there early this morning.
I think I might have her in the tan department, though.
Yeah, I think you're unmatched, my friend. You're unmatched.
I think I got you too, Rick.
Oh, you got me. You got it. No doubt. I know not to tread there. Absolutely.
That's like if you'd say, "Hey, come on out to the beach." So what? I've been out there like 2 hours. You know, were you meant to get more sun? I mean, come on.
I can imagine you show up, like for the first hour, and then you're done. You're like, all right. Yep, I'm good. I'm the color I need to be. Yep.
I'm gonna head back to the pool.
Yeah, I'm gonna head right back to the pool. All right, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your time.
All right, Rick, we'll do it. You take care, and great talking to you. And thanks to Louise, and we'll see all you great Hokie fans here coming up very soon.
Yeah, Monday night, and then we'll get a report on how everything went next Tuesday. It'll be great. Good timing.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, man. Have fun with the grandkids today. I know you will.
We will. Thanks, Rick.
All right, man. Take care. Mike Burnham down in Florida. Great stuff. Great aesthetics there, man. Wasn't that great to see all that stuff? Mike looks great. 44 years. That was great to get a little bit of history lesson there with Dan Henning. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Dan Henning was a heck of a offensive coach. He was in the NFL a long time. Yeah, head coach of the Falcons. Yeah, y'all remind me. I got to remind Mike if he can be there at the Bash on the 18th at the Super Bowl. I guarantee you Mike's a good bowler. Because Mike's still a good athlete. He's a really good tennis player, things like that. I guarantee you he can bowl. I guarantee you he's really good. Coach Elmo's going to be there too. That might draw him there. Or help draw him there. Good stuff. 44th year coming up for Mike. But I knew he'd be excited about the tight ends. I mean, that was kind of a no-brainer, right? He's got to be. Of course he is. Good stuff from Brian and from Mike today, as always. Again, Marva is not where she not in her new house yet. So she has no internet. She was hoping it would be resolved. So that's why she couldn't join us today. Make sure you give Travis Williams, Professional Door Incorporated, a call. Do it today. Don't forget, make a note. If you have a garage door, you want to get, it's been a while since I had my garage door. Preventative maintenance is the key, so you're not paying out a lot of money. $40 off. You heard us talking about it. Just call Travis, 674-0008. And tell him you heard us talking about it here on the program, and you immediately get $40 off your bill. Off your bill. $40 off your bill for your service. So make sure you do that. 674-0008. What kind of day do we have today, by the way? I didn't even look this morning. We had some rain last night. I heard it as I was sleeping. Mostly sunny today, maybe some rain later. We'll take it. Morris says Dan Henning introduced single wing back in the NFL. He called it the Wildcat, 2008. Was OC the Dolphins. Yeah, the Wildcat is definitely an off branch of that whole thing. Yeah. Absolutely. It didn't, I guess from time to time you'll see it. It didn't necessarily have a resounding hold on the league, but it was something that did kind of resonate for a while, didn't it? Yeah. Of course, they still do it some in college, but it becomes so obvious who the ball carrier is going to be because it's in this whole when they split out the quarterback wide, it's like you don't even have to put a guy on him. Coach Elmo talks about, Coach Grantha talks about 11 versus 10, and you don't want your defense to be at a disadvantage. I would think that puts your offense at a little bit of a disadvantage when you're running that and you see your quarterback leave center and he's lined up on the outside, right? At least that's just me looking at it from that perspective. Like, do you even need the guard be concerned at all with the quarterback. Seems like in our next segment of Ask Elmo, which I think that's what it's going to turn into, as many of you suggested yesterday. Ask Elmo will definitely we'll have to ask him that question. So there we go. But good stuff today. Tomorrow, I know we'll have Keon. I don't know what else after that. I believe I have to reach out to Damien. I think Damien said he was back traveling this week. I don't remember. So we'll see what we have. Heck, we had such a good discussion amongst ourselves. Maybe we can just do that again. That was great. Chat, you were great today. I mean, chat, you're always good, but that was fun today. We talked about all sorts of stuff today. Kind of pulled through that first hour and 15 minutes. That was good. We went on sorts of tangents, but it was very interesting. And we had a lot of new folks stop by that added some stuff too. Love the new folks when they contribute instead of trying to, cause issues. At least now that we've gotten through this and we're getting down to 11 months since the show's been back, I've become more versed on recognizing the people who are trying to contribute and the people who are just trying to do stupid stuff, right? It becomes a little easier. Well, everybody has a great rest of their Tuesday. You can't see him, but Creed also wants to point that out. And, enjoy watching the Elite Eight of the World Cup without the United States as they were eliminated last night 4-1. Be sure to check out the channel. We'll have some short clips. Those have become very popular. We get well over 1,000 views every day just on our clips that we show throughout YouTube. It's awesome. And we appreciate you for stopping by. And everybody stay safe. And we'll see you tomorrow. Again, prayers up for TP, Tony Powell. Everybody thinking about you. Hope the show makes you feel a little bit better today after your treatment, man. Godspeed, brother. And we will talk to you tomorrow. Be good.